morning, friends. Welcome back. I'm pretty sure I'm in the same vlog. I can't even remember. So my husband is, oh, there's 2 dead deer right there. Anyway, about to post the last vlog, trying to get back into it again. I am on my way to ladies group, and I'm thinking of making an appointment with my Megs to get my facial hair harvested. No, seriously, since I had a hysterectomy 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago, I swear my head hair fell out and my facial hair took off. So I don't know what that's about. Fortunately, it's so light, I can get away with it for a long time. However, it's looking like it's that time again. So I'm going to adjust. It's a little stuffy in here. So it is, I truly love this weather because we are headed into spring. It is warmer. I'm so tempted to ask my husband to put my egg chair back together so I can sit in it outside. But next week so today it's supposed to be 70. Next Tuesday it's supposed to be like 25. Okay, Ohio, like whatever. That's the dumb part of Ohio right there. It's raining now. Oh, my husband shuts the windows because they're all open. I wanted to hop on. I don't know exactly what I want to talk about. I am feeling very sad today. Very burdened. It's been a heavy week for a lot of people that I know. Several people that I know. And I'm struggling with that. I am obviously, from my vlogs, I am a firm believer in Jesus Christ. I am a Christian. I believe He created us for a plan and a purpose. I believe our days are ordained. Day number 1 and our very last day and everything in between. I believe He knows that. It's ordained. I don't feel like I've had a problem questioning that. I've questioned maybe the whys surrounding certain deaths. You know what I mean? But I've done pretty well at just trusting Him and resting in His plan and purpose. But man, I am struggling with a situation that happened to a friend of ours. And, you know, I'm not one of those people that says, where was God when this happened? Where was God? God is always there. What I struggle with, and it's something I don't foresee myself getting the answer to this side of heaven, but still, it's on my mind. Good people. People with a sweet family, with young children, with wonderful spouses that are left to pick up pieces and try and answer impossible questions for their children. Why? I struggle with the why. You know, I'm an intercessor. I pray. If I tell you I'm going to pray, I pray. It wasn't always that way. You know, we forget. That's why somebody said once, don't tell someone you're going to pray if you're not going to. That's important. You know what I mean? So I try to be intentional with that. Even when I forget at first, when it comes to my mind, I pray. But for the most most part, I'm solid at intercessory prayer. I prayed without ceasing for this specific situation. I fasted. You know, the same thing with my husband's best friend, who was, I want to say 47 at the time of his passing. I think he was 47 or 48. We believed for healing, you know, and you hear a lot about having faith, you know. The Bible talks about faith the size of a grain of mustard seed, you know. Your faith can truly activate healing and answers and a lot of situations. And no, I know that I've said before, God always answers, and I still believe that. I believe that. And this is one of those situations where I've said before, He answers. In fact, at our worship night, I literally just said this. I said this like 5 days before this situation unfolded. 5 days before I said, God always answers. Sometimes it's not the answer that you'd like. It's not what you want to see or to hear, but He does answer according to His will and His purpose. And it's hard. It's hard. It's sad. It can make you angry. Your heart breaks and your spirit just gets overwhelmed. You know, especially when you have empathy for people. I've wished probably 1,000 times in my lifetime that I could just sit down with Jesus for just a few minutes and say, help me understand. I don't ever want to question His will. And I'd love to understand it better. That there's a purpose behind His plan. And there's a plan within His purpose. And as hard as that is to wrap our minds around, this is where faith gets hard. This is where faith is a choice and a commitment. God, I don't understand, but I'm going to trust You anyway. God, it's hard, but I'm keeping my eyes on You through this process, you know. We look around and we're in a fallen world. I have to share this. Last night, our son, who is 7 years old, 7. And I haven't shared, I didn't share anything heavy with him. He goes to an amazing school, and, you know, every now and then he'll ask these deep questions. And so last night he's sitting on the floor looking at his dinosaur books, and he's just like, Mom, I wish we could talk to Jesus anytime. And I said, well, you can. He's like, anywhere? I said, anywhere. He's like, even if it's not in my room? I said, yeah. You can be outside playing. You can be driving to school. You could be in the bathroom. You could, anywhere. You can talk to Jesus anytime, anywhere. And so he was just, you know, processing that. Probably 20 minutes later, I'm over by the stove doing something, and I look over and he's just like staring at the fish tank. And I'm like, what you doing? He's like, I'm just thinking. I'm just sitting here wondering when Jesus is going to come and take us from this forsaken world. And so I wanted to make sure I heard him correctly. So I was like, oh, what did you just say? I didn't hear it all. Can you tell me again? And I did hear it correctly. He said it again. Just matter of factly, I'm just sitting here wondering when Jesus is going to take us from this forsaken world. Wow. Children, you need to listen to children sometimes. That's why the Bible talks about having faith as a child, childlike faith, because the faith in children is unmatched. Jesus had a very special place in his heart for children. But that's the point. We are living in a fallen world. God never meant for it to be like this. He never meant for that. You know, sometimes hard, unimaginable things happen to good people. And nowhere in the Bible does it say God never gives us more than we can handle. That is false. He's never said that. The Lord will allow us to go through things, and He will be everything we need to get through those things. We need to pray without ceasing every day. Prayer matters. And the answers to those prayers we need to settle in and be okay with. And that is a choice, not a feeling. I am someone who thrives on feelings. Like, I'm a feeler. I like tangible. I like to see, you know what I mean? And it's hard for someone like me to just settle in my faith. And no, God is advocating. He is at work. Just because we've gotten our answer doesn't mean like God's like, okay, I'm done, bye, you know, wish you luck. It's not like that. He's still there. He's still ever present in our sorrow, in our joy, in our pain, in our confusion, in our questions. He is still actively working. I've been praying hard for a situation that happened last week. I'm trying to figure out what I can say without saying too much, and so I'm not even gonna try. It was just a situation that happened last week. My husband and I made a hard choice. I wrestled with that choice for several days after the fact. I talked to a very dear friend and confidant, told them everything, and this person said, you absolutely 1,000% made the right choice. You did the right thing. And I had a little peace for a while, but I wrestled with it. I knew in making this choice, I knew going forward that I would have less access to a certain situation. And at that point, the only person I knew that would have access is God Himself. And I had to rest in the fact that He is advocating on behalf of people involved in this situation. He is supplying needs. He is at work. So I had to make a hard choice. I had to decide, have some control, have a place in this situation where you'd be able to help, and etc., or do the right thing and be cut off. Sometimes hard things are not about us at all. They're for the better of someone else. And you have to be willing to die to yourself and do the right thing. kind of wrap this up by saying, I pray almost every day. I've said this before. God, give me eyes to see, give me ears to hear, give me a heart that loves like you, give me a mind of discernment. And when you pray that prayer, you have to be ready for him to do that, to do just that. And it's not always easy to see and hear and feel and love, for that matter, but you have to do it anyway. Dying to yourself can be a hard and sometimes painful thing. So anyway, pray for those around you. Check in. You just never know. You literally never know when someone that you just saw or just talked to, or someone that you've known for quite a while, just suddenly won't be there. You know, you never know, even for yourself, when you're going to take your last breath, or life is going to change in a big way. You never know. What legacy are you leaving? What footprint will you have left behind? You know, it's a lot to think about. It's not always a fun topic to think about, but it's necessary. So that being said, I'm going to go to ladies group. I'm going to keep praying today. Keep warring, because every day you're warring on behalf of someone, on behalf of your situations and your families. And you know, no matter how long you've been praying for a certain situation or a certain person, don't quit. I've said this before too. I have something on the wall right next to my bed. It's a quote that I saw a long time ago, and I had my husband write it. It's on one of those like chalkboard things. It says, even if all you have left is a whisper, keep praying. And that is so true. If you feel like you have nothing left but a whisper, keep praying and keep fighting. Keep going, because it matters, and you're making a difference. And the Lord hears our prayers. He hears all of them, not just some of them, all of them. And as I told our son last night, Jesus is everywhere. You can talk to him anytime, any day, from anywhere. So if you're watching this, maybe reach out to that person that's been on your heart and ask how you can pray for them. If you're struggling in your faith, if you're going through heavy, hard things, you're not alone. God is with you always. So I'm here at Ladies Group. I'm going to go on in. I hope that you have a blessed day. And I hope that somehow, somewhere, you can make a difference today.